Tim, thank you. We begin with breaking news. All lanes of I-405 in Bellevue just reopened following a deadly three-car crash there.
Now, one person is dead and others hurt in this fiery rollover collision. This happened near Main Street in Bellevue just after 10 p.m. Investigators say the driver of an Audi was speeding at more than 100 miles an hour and slammed into the back of a BMW, causing the BMW to roll several times and catch fire. Troopers say the driver of the BMW was trapped inside and died at the scene. Two other cars were hit. Those passengers had minor injuries. The driver of the Audi and a passenger were taken to the hospital with non-life-threatening injuries. Troopers believe the Audi's driver was under the influence of drugs. He was arrested for vehicular homicide, and we'll be bringing you any new developments as soon as we get them into the newsroom.
We begin with breaking news this morning. A UPS cargo plane crashes in Alabama, and now the search is on for the two people on board.
The Airbus plane crashed on approach to the Birmingham airport around 4 this morning, our time. Jeff Van Sant following the latest developments from the newsroom. Jeff, what's the latest?
Yeah, guys, we have learned that two people were on board that UPS cargo plane when it crashed, and multiple explosions have been.
Thank you. We continue tracking breaking news this morning. Police are investigating a double shooting that happened overnight in Shoreline.
Let's get right to the scene where Jeff Van Sant is live this morning with the details. And Jeff, what can you tell us?
Yeah, what we learned so far is that there's two teenage victims, a male and a female.
Sandy continues to lash out on the East Coast. The deadly superstorm leaves a trail of devastation across the Northeast. Electrical fires, extreme flooding, widespread power outages, and it is far from over. For the folks waking up this morning back east, Sandy's fury is still being felt. The worst of the storm may be far from over. Right now, a blizzard warning is in effect for 11 counties in West Virginia, with 121,000 people without power. Tim is tracking Sandy's path, and we're going to check back with him in just a minute.
Yeah, it's just crazy there. But first, a massive rescue operation underway right now after a levee breach in Bergen County. That's in New Jersey. We're told as many as 1,000 people right now could be in danger.
This is Q13 Fox News this morning.
Unfortunately, Congress has not fulfilled its responsibility. It's failed to pass a budget.
Closed for business, the federal government officially shut down. What this means for the country and right here in our state.
Despite a government shutdown, open enrollment for the president's signature health care law will kick in this morning, where you'll be able to search for the best insurance plan in our state.
After heavy rains, wind, and even a tornado, what we can expect on this first day of October. MJ standing by with your forecast.
This is Q13 Fox News this morning.
An historic night in our state as same-sex marriage officially becomes law. Hear from the couples who lined up all night to get the first marriage licenses.
3, 2, 1!
And marijuana also legal in our state now. Where you can light up and how the Seattle Police Department is enforcing that new law. Periodic closures since midnight on the 520 bridge, causing some delays. Work is expected to be completely wrapped up in about 30 minutes. And more rain on the way to start your morning. Tim is here to tell us if we're going to get a break this weekend.
This is Q13 Fox News this morning.
Breaking news, 2 lanes of I-405 at Bellevue just reopened as authorities investigate a deadly crash. Some new details, including some other major traffic delays drivers need to know before you head into the weekend.
A state of emergency in Colorado as historic floods trap people in their homes and force thousands to head to higher ground.
Fog to start your Friday as we cool off from this September sizzle. A look ahead to your weekend forecast next.
And 12th man, stand up. It is Blue Friday, a preview of Sunday's showdown between the Hawks and the Niners and how you can score a pair of tickets.
This is Q13 Fox News this morning.
Breaking news, a cargo plane crashes while landing at an Alabama airport. A live report on the new information we've learned straight ahead.
Violence erupts on the streets of Cairo. Egypt's security officials try to remove camps supporting ousted President Mohamed Morsi. Live pictures here, and the reports the military is firing into the crowds of protesters. The very latest next.
Plus, we're hearing from the brave Metro bus driver shot while on the job. A live report coming up next.
This is Q13 Fox News this morning.
Next, a break from the sweltering temperatures help crews gain ground to that raging wildfire east of the Cascades. A live report next.
Plus, why the State Department is shutting down several embassies around the world this weekend. And Seafair is here. The hydros will start revving up in just a few hours, and we are live on the waterfront at Lake Washington with a preview of the big weekend.
So will those pesky clouds disappear before the Patriot jets take to the sky? Tim's got your forecast straight ahead.
The American people have spoken. President Obama gets 4 more years to lead the country, the key states that secured his victory.
And too close to call this morning. The race for the governor's seat in our state still up for grabs, where the votes stand and what both candidates have to say about the results so far.
History is made. Our state now one of 2 in the country to legalize marijuana. Now the big question, what happens next? And how will the federal government respond?
And celebrations in the streets of Seattle as our state is on track to approve gay marriage. A look at the latest numbers as the votes are still being counted. Well, the clock has run out. Now the day we've been talking about is finally here.
Well, for the first time since 1996, the government officially shut down after lawmakers failed to reach an agreement on a spending bill. Now millions of people will pay the price. Live look at the nation's capital this morning, where the House and Senate have been playing ping pong with the budget. The upper chamber will be back in session in just a few hours at 6:30 our time to take up the latest bill from the House, one that calls for negotiation by committee. The Senate expected to immediately reject that as well. Republicans and Democrats still far apart on the funding for the government as both sides have dug in their heels. At issue, the nation's new health care law. House Republicans want it defunded or delayed, and they keep attaching it to the budget. Democrats want a clean, continuing resolution and say the Affordable Care Act is the law of the land and will not be shut down and doesn't belong in a discussion over spending.
You do not use the threat of shutting down government to try to advance your policy agenda.
The House has voted to keep the government open, but we also want basic fairness for all Americans under Obamacare.
President Obama promised to veto legislation that repealed or delayed any part of his health care plan, but he did sign a bill both chambers passed that ensures active duty military personnel will still be paid. The latest government shutdown 17 years ago lasted 21 days.
So what exactly does a government shutdown actually mean? Well, it means some 800,000 federal employees will be furloughed without pay. That's expected to cost the federal government $1 billion a week. All national parks are closed, including the Statue of Liberty and the National Mall. Also in line for potential shutdown, WIC, that's a Women, Infants, and Children's program that provides food and health assistance for mothers. Borrowers and first-time homebuyers seeking government-backed mortgages could also face delays.
Lawmakers from our state are sounding off on the government shutdown. Senator Patty Murray says, for 6 months, I have fought every day for the budget that I passed in the Senate to be negotiated with the budget passed in the House. But at every turn, I've been rebuffed by Tea Party Republicans who insist that the only way to negotiate is by holding our economy hostage in exchange for outrageous political demands. Republican Congresswoman Kathy McMorris Rodgers tweeted this statement: Senate Democrats must come to conference to negotiate. #fairness for all. And State Congressman Rick Larson kept it simple. Republicans played chicken with the government and our economy, and the American people lost. We've got calls into Republican lawmakers. We expect to hear from them soon.
Well, this should come as no surprise. The approval rating for Congress is at an all-time low. According to a CNN poll, just 10% of Americans say they approve of the job Congress is doing. 87% disapprove. 43% have a favorable rating of the Democratic Party, the GOP rating down to 32%. Even with the shutdown, members of Congress will continue to draw their $174,000 annual salary.
So what does a government shutdown mean here at home? At JBLM alone, it's estimated as many as 10,000 civilian workers will be furloughed without pay. In Bremerton, almost a quarter of the Puget Sound Navy Station's 13,000 workers will be furloughed. That's on top of the sequester that cut their pay by 20% this summer. 46,000 active duty soldiers will still go to work, but might get government IOUs instead of paychecks until things are settled. Governor Jay Inslee voiced his concerns at a press conference in Olympia.
Some 800,000 federal employees, including many here in Washington state, would be furloughed. This would be a blow to our recovering economy here in our state.
Unemployment checks could also be held up if the shutdown lasts longer than a week, and WashDOT road construction projects could face permit delays. Well, the markets were off yesterday. The Dow down triple digits on the heels of the government shutdown. Today's futures are rebounding, though. Markets don't like uncertainty, and investors are sure now what Washington is doing. And because of the shutdown, the much anticipated monthly jobs report scheduled for Friday might be delayed. We'll have the opening numbers from Wall Street this morning at 6:30.
And despite the political infighting, open enrollment for the Affordable Care Act begins today. Millions of uninsured Americans can now sign up. Here in our state, the Health Plan Finder online insurance marketplace website officially launches this morning at 7:30. People making up to $46,000 a year and families of 4 making up to $94,000 a year are eligible for financial assistance. Free and low-cost plans are also available. A 10-city tour for the healthcare website kicks off October 16th in Spokane with Governor Inslee.
You'll be able to make side-by-side comparisons. You'll be able to feel comfortable with what the plans offer there. The plans there will cover all the important things. They'll cover doctor visits, hospitalizations, prescription drugs. You know what you're going to get when you go to the website.
If you want your new health care coverage to start in January, you must choose a plan by December 14th. On March 31st, 2014, open enrollment ends, and that's when the penalties start. If you don't have health insurance by then, you could be slapped with a fine, Brian.
Well, Governor Inslee will make an appearance today to mark the first day of open enrollment. The governor is speaking later this morning at Carolyn Downs Family Medical Center on East Yesler Way in Seattle. Governor Inslee will be joined by King County Executive Dow Constantine, and there they will offer their support to workers at the medical center and meet with some of the people from our state who are signing up for insurance under the Affordable Care Act using Washington Health Plan Finder online. Starting today, ferry riders, both walk-ons and drivers, will pay more for a ticket across all routes. Passenger fares are rising 2% and vehicle fares 3%. Ferry riders heading to Anacortes and Sydney, BC will also pay more, about 4% for both vehicle and passenger fares. Kids will get a better deal, though, with about half off of their fares. Multi-ride passes are also now available through Orca.
A 57-foot tugboat sank next to its dock in Lake Washington late last night. According to the Seattle Times, the boat was sitting at Lakewood Moorage in South Seattle, and the water was only about 10 feet deep. No one was injured, and it's not clear what caused that boat to sink. Booms were placed around the vessel to contain any leaking fuel, and the Coast Guard will now investigate. Well, the severe storms that tore through western Washington created a rare EF1 tornado in Frederickson near Puyallup.
Yeah, it ripped through a Boeing plant yesterday and damaged nearby businesses and neighborhoods, picking up anything that wasn't nailed down. Dozens of employees at the Northwest Door plant ducked for cover as the twister ripped the plant to shreds. A large metal gazebo flew into one man's backyard and landed just a couple of feet from his home. Trees were toppled, fencing flew in the air, and part of a roof was ripped off one family's home.
We heard the house shaking, rumbling, and we don't know what it was. We thought it was an earthquake. I'm just glad that we're all safe and nobody got hurt. That's all. That can be replaced. Our lives cannot be replaced.
The Department of Energy Management warns that backyard items like lawn furniture could turn deadly in a severe storm like yesterday. It's important to store or stake down the items for winter. Fortunately, no one was hurt by the twister. So if you have any pictures or video of storm damage in your neighborhood, we want to see it. Great pictures and video coming in yesterday. And go to the Q13 Fox News Facebook page and click on Send Us Your News Tip, and you can upload them directly to us. And of course, we got that one yesterday about the 9 o'clock hour about the tornado.
Oh, my gosh.
That came in. We were watching and following that.
We
got
a lot of pictures that just consistently came in. So anytime you see anything, definitely send it to us. And it helps MJ because we don't know until we can see it ourselves. I mean, the satellite and the radar can only show us so much.